My guests today are director Jan Saska, illustrator Marek Pokorny, and Kamila Dohnalová and their animated short film, Huracan. Now, Jan Saska is a Czech director of animated films and author of several comics. After obtaining a diploma in classical animation from the University of Toma, he continued his studies at the Faculty of Cinema and Television of the Academy of Arts of the Prague show FAMU, or FAMU. Now, the previous film, Assault, won prizes at festivals in Portugal and Russia. Happy End, his licensed film, was nominated this year for the Czech Lion Magnesia Prize for the Best Student Film. Now, Marek Pokorny is an illustrator, comics author, and 2D animator, currently based in the Czech Republic. He drew two comics that were published. One won the Czech Comics Award Muriel for the Best Book in Art, and got nominated for the Czech Grand Design Award for illustrations. Now, Kamila Dohnalová is an independent film producer based in Prague, Czech Republic. Now, besides bringing to life animated and live action projects within her production company, Last Films, she is in charge of the industry program at Anifilm IFAF. Now, Kamila has produced more than 20 films, including Happy End in 2015, and an Academy Awards-shortlisted animated black comedy that premiered at the director's Fortnight in Cannes, and Peacock, also in 2015, a Sundance-awarded short film. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jan Saska, Marek Pokorny, and Kamila Dohnalová and their animated short film, Huracan, to the show. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us.
You're very, very welcome. Now, I have to say, I absolutely fell in love with this animated short film, Huracan. So, Jan, let's start with you. You co-wrote it. Where did the idea come from?
Well, Hurikan is originally a comic character. There are two short comics made before the movie. And the second one is quite close to film noir aesthetic, and I find it quite fitting because of the film noir heroes are not heroes, actually. They are complicated beings with some dark sides, and I think it's a good match with Hurikan character, and it was our starting point to make a film noir genre, and at the same time we want to turn this genre into the Prague settings. I saw the potential of this wild district to be the place where this nocturnal aesthetic with this neon signs is located. And at the same time, we want to make the story believable in this Czech settings because Prague is quite safe city. So that's why we don't want to bring some serious crime like murder or something just to fulfill this genre, but we decide to stay with some Czech attributes like a beer of keg instead. So that's where the idea for the movie came from.
Well, again, I loved it. And I want to ask you, Kamila, what was it about the story of Huracan that you wanted to produce it?
Well, it contains the two essential elements that are very dear to me, and that's Prague and beer. I love both of them. So yeah, Huracan is a character that carries and it's in touch with both of them. So that was I think very essential for me.
Well, I have always heard that Prague is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and it was great to see in an amazing film like this one come out of the Czech Republic. And so again, Kamila, as a producer, what are the things that you have to do when the film is animated versus producing a live action film?
Well, some things are the same, but many things are also very different. So, first of all, as an author short film, it requires like several sources of financing. So in our case, it was a co-production of 4 countries, of 4 European countries, and without that, it wouldn't be possible because the animation is very pricey. But in the same time, it allows you to gather the talent from the whole Europe, from Bosnia and Herzegovina through Slovakia and Czech Republic to France. So that was amazing. And I mean, of course, the pipeline of the production it's different, but in the end, there are also live actors and actresses involved because you need the voices. But otherwise, during the production, the animated characters require different treatment than on set with the live people.
Well, Jan, why was the main character a boar or a pig?
Yeah, it's some kind of a visual shortcut. I made the first comics during the comics workshop, and it was my first experience with this medium. I was very big fan for a long time, but never tried to make one of by my own. And I didn't have prepared any story in advance for this workshop, and I have to bring some idea quickly till the next day, and I started with the environment of this beer kiosk or like cheap places for food or drink, and I want to place a character there you can read for one look. So yeah.
I love that. Now, for either Jan or Marek, this question is for you. I loved the black and white animation. Why did you want to tell the story in black and white instead of color?
Well, it goes again with this goal to get closer to film noir aesthetic, and at the same time, I bet with colors. I know that it's not a limit once you have this great crew full of talented people and artists. But at the same time, I like the limitations that causes some creative solutions. So altogether, it seemed to me like a good idea to stay with black and white.
Well, it came out fantastic. And Mark, I love the classic 2D animation. How did you come up with the overall design of the animation?
Well, actually, big part of the credit for the style of the animation still goes to Honza, but we actually met at film school, not FAMU, but a school before that in Zlín, where we studied animation together, and we found out that we share some common. That we like the same kind of styles in comics and in animation, and we both kind of lean towards this more kind of realistic art style and also realistic animation style. So it was kind of common thing to agree on this. But there was some period where we needed to figure out exactly how realistic or how simple the animation should be. So that took a few months at the beginning of the production, but yeah, we found it pretty quickly, I would say.
You know, what I loved about the animation, because I actually love 2D animation probably more than 3D, because I think there's more of an artistic element to 2D, and where a lot of the 3D, they kind of start looking the same. But with the 2D animation, which I love in this film, and like you had just said, it comes across very realistic. The movement of the characters flows so smoothly. And I watched this film a few times, and as I was watching it, I caught myself looking at each of the characters, and it's almost like watching a live action film, because part of your brain is thinking of the different camera angles, but there's really not camera angles in animation. It's based on how it's drawn. And that's why I just fell in love with this film. Not only was the story fantastic and very entertaining, but the animation, the use of not overusing dialogue, allowing the animation to tell the story, and then the music score and the sound mixing was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
the credit for the camera angles, that's also Jan's job. I didn't find the camera angles myself. It was kind of thought out and invented by Jan in the storyboarding stage, where he actually, well, maybe he can talk about it himself, but I know. Do you want to talk about it?
About camera angles.
Yeah, the use of 3D for finding the camera angles.
Yeah, okay. Like you mentioned, and I absolutely agree, your interest into 2D animation and the artistic decisions behind it, and in comparison to 3D. But we use 3D quite a lot during the pre-production stage of production as a layout for both, actually, for animation and for backgrounds. It's a great tool because it enables you to choose exactly the camera angle, or to check if the editing decisions are made correctly. And if not, you can just switch the camera angle to another and render the play blast again, which is like a quick view of your scene. So it's very effective, but at the end, we decide to redraw all the inputs to hand-drawn animation and hand-drawn backgrounds, and we have this key that we would like to use only the methods that would be available in analog era, like back days before the computers jump in properly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the scenes, one of my favorite scenes in this film, and it's where I started noticing the camera angles because I would rewatch the scene. But the scene is also it has an endearing quality to it because it's when the female bartender asked for a light for her cigarette, and then Huracan had a lighter, but she grabbed his jacket, pulled him in to get a light from the cigarette that was still in his mouth. It left him in a bit of a shock because he really had a crush on her, and that whole scene, you capture the emotion through the animation with both characters, especially with Huracan. And I just thought that whole scene was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of the core scenes when the romance starts. So we tried our best.
Well, because this film has everything in it. You've got this little bit of this love story going on with Huracan, and he's got his crush on the female bartender. You have his love for beer at the same time. But then you also have the sequence in the second half of the film where it's moving very fast because he's chasing that keg that the other guy picked up, and then it starts rolling, and I literally was so amazed watching the animation during the second half of the film because of the speed and how, from Jan, for Jan, either from you or Mark, what is the editing process like that when you're dealing with a sequence of scenes that we look at as being very fast?
Well, I'm thinking about the editing process since the very first stage of development, like since the storyboard sketches, and you have an absolute control over the editing process since you are an animator, because you basically can animate the editing cut. Uh, uh, so yeah, that's the process basically. I think I kind of animate the cuts. So uh, as you are making a progress within the shot, you put it in this editing software, just find a better moment of cut, and continue making progress again. So the final animation, you don't need too much overlaps, or I don't know how it's called, like some extra work that would
Handles,
be
maybe.
handles. Okay.
And I can say that Jan is really, for me at least, he's a genius of finding the right cut that it's almost invisible. And I mean, he's someone who watched some dynamic sequences in Matrix frame by frame to study how the editing there is done in the dynamic scenes and other
Yeah.
films. So
I would add to that also on the live action versus animation, or live action and animation, that even during the financing and like pitching preparation process, we have several like live action film as a reference, or we like to think about Big Lebowski as a American friend of our Huracan character, because that's somebody definitely very close to his aesthetic and world.
Yeah, because the editing of this film was so seamless and so smooth. Um, I mean, it is literally, ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the most entertaining animated short films you will ever see. But you would be in awe of everything that your eyes are trying to focus on, because when I'm watching an animated film, my eyes are going everywhere. I mean, in this film, Huracan, I'm looking at how the beer is poured into the mug, and how the cigarette was lit, or the keg is rolling down the street. I mean, it's just everything, and it's just it's visually, it's just absolutely beautiful. But how long did the animation process take to complete?
well, the whole production took 3 years in total. So yeah, for a 13 minutes film, it's quite a big ratio, and I don't actually have the exact number of how long the animation took, but it might be from those 3 years. If I don't count the layout stage, it might be 2 years basically, maybe.
2 years, but
Wow.
like 7 years from the very first idea till the premiere in Annecy, 2024. Like from the very first time when we spoke about the story and the character, almost right after Happy End, our previous film with Jan. So then it took some time, yeah, to finance and to find the right setting, talent, and make everything together.
I 3 years. Wow. I mean, a lot of times I see these short films, these animated short films, and usually you can see here 10 months, maybe a year. This one's probably one of the longest that I've heard about. Uh, but let me ask you, Mark, because with the animation, did you do the design of the animation? Um, did you start off by hand and then convert into computer to finish the rest?
It's a hand-drawn animation, but we only use paper for sketching or some to figure out something. Like we draw using table tablets directly into a computer, so our lines appear directly on the screen. So that makes it faster compared to the old days when all the cells were painted, drawn on the celluloids or on papers, and then had to be scanned. And yeah, now it's all done digitally, but you still hold the pen and draw it by hand. And uh, yeah, I mean, And to go into a little bit more detail, like for film, generally there is 24 frames per second, and one would think that you need all those frames for smooth animation, but oftentimes you can cheat a little bit. So you can hold, like, usually you can hold the drawings for 2 frames, and it still reads as a smooth motion. So you only can draw like 12 drawings per second, and it still works okay. And you can cheat even more, like hold the same drawing for 3 frames, sometimes 4 frames, all depending on the type of the motion, how slow or fast it is. And so you can work kind of find economic way to do it. But because the animation style on Hurikan was quite ambitious, we needed to uh, kind of find these cheats to be able to actually finish this film. It wouldn't be possible if we were animating all 24 frames per second, of course.
Well, what was the most challenging scene to create?
Well, it depends on the animator, I guess. For me, the dynamic scenes are actually simpler than the slow scenes, because in the fast scenes, the drawings have more spacing, like the distance from each other. So when you do some slight mistake here and there, it doesn't read. But if it's a slow motion and like the character stops or there's some like breathing, you need to be very precise, because sometimes the motion is only like on the level of the thickness of the line, so you need to be super precise. So yeah, I would say some of these slow scenes were more difficult than the fast ones.
Wow. You're telling me some secrets that I didn't know, so I'm learning more and more about animation as I talk to you and others about this incredible craft that many of you have. Now, uh, this is a question for most likely for either Kamila or Jan. Tell me about this incredible sound mixing by Jerry Graff. It's one of the best I've heard in an animated short film.
Well, it also built on our previous collaboration with Jiří, who was the sound designer on Happy End, and he was our classmate at FAMU in Prague. So we already collaborated. So once Jans was thinking about the new project, he approached Jiří again. And I would say, beside his amazing work, a really great work was done also by the Foley artist, because we spent like two full days, right?
Yeah.
2 full days in the Foley studio, and the 3 guys, I mean, 1 girl, 2 boys, they did super amazing job. I mean, we had like an empty keg, which, by the way, we had also during the production for animators to have really hands-on experience beside the tablets and computer. But anyway, so in the Foley studio, which is, as you know, of course, like a magic place with so many surfaces and objects and textiles and structures, and you can really do the biggest tricks, I would say, to make realistic sounds, but with completely different objects. That in the end it sounds like super realistic.
It,
So yeah, that
yeah, I
was
mean, one of the best sound mixings I have ever heard for a not only just a short film, just a film in general. And to tell you the truth, when the film started, it was probably just a few seconds in is when I noticed the sound mixing, because I'm watching like the female bartender, she's grabbing a mug, she's pouring the beer, and you hear everything, you know, the switches and all of these things, and I was literally absolutely amazed with the sound mixing in this film. So it was absolutely spot on. And Mark, I want to ask you back on the animation, because something came to my mind. when you're drawing a scene, do you draw the scene in layers like in the old days when they would draw on cells or paint on cells? You would draw the character, then there's the background. But how do you do it today with the computerized system?
Well, maybe there is a problem that on the computer you have no limit regarding how many layers you can have, so you can go lost in the number of layers. But basically, we used mostly it was just one layer for the line art of each character. Then you have the background was done by background artist uh, separately. Oftentimes we animated just over some maybe simple sketch of the background or some simple preview of the 3D models of the background. So it was just for a long time it was just a layer of the simple background, then one layer of the characters, and over time you add more and more layers during the coloring stage. You add in our case we had every color was on its own layer, so you have maybe 20 layers of colors for each character. And then in case of the background it can also go into maybe, I don't know, 50 layers. It can be quite easily, because if you want to keep it editable in later stage, like you need to move certain part of the background because it doesn't fit into the composition somehow. There's some strange overlapping with the character and you still need to be able to move it. So that's why you keep it on separate layers for these later adjustments. So yeah, generally it can one shot can be easily like hundreds of layers, let's say.
That that literally makes my head hurt. You know, so but well, I have to ask you, Jan, because with this film Huracan, and because the animation is just so spectacular to look at, uh, and I love the character Huracan. Uh, any chances of this ever or this character being maybe a series of comic books?
Yeah, I got this another idea for some Huracan journey in my head since actually the workshop times, since the first appearance of Huracan in comics. But it's like a bigger scale story, so I was kind of hesitating to jump into this new adventure, but I'm about to do it like as soon as possible, like maybe as a comics first, and then I will try to turn it into an animated movie, which is some kind of it's not my idea. It's some kind of for example, Hayao Miyazaki does the same with Naushika. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. From the Wind, LA, and Katsuhiro Otomo did the same with Akira. It was the manga first, then animated feature. So I think it's a good way how to start thinking visually about some story through the comics first, and have it like a first stage of development, let's say. Even though I really love comics and I don't want to reduce it only as some pre-production stage of animated movies. I really think comics is a great medium itself with a lot of potential and possibilities. But yeah, those two mediums are very close to each other, like comics and animated movie.
Well, I guess in a way, a comic book. Well, the comic book is basically the storyboard, correct?
It's very close, yeah.
Kind of makes the job a little easier.
I'm sorry.
Does it make the job a little easier?
Yeah, yeah. Also because once you got this comics book, and if the comics is successful and you got some fans around it. It helps a lot during the searching for some funds or financial in general. So, yeah.
Well,
I
it
guess,
was, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, like the good comic book basically navigates you towards like a good storyboard, but I think to have like absolutely proper standard storyboard after the comic book is absolutely essential for a good feature afterwards.
Yeah, and
So yeah, but
I would love to see this as a feature, tell you the truth, because I'm really interested to see what other types of adventures Huracan would, well, I guess endure or be a part of. So I would be in the theater to see the full feature.
Oh, thank you. We will try our best.
Well, in the end, I guess Huracan loved his beer more than his crush on his favorite female beer stands. So I was really hoping in the end, I was really cheering him on to get that keg back in time to the female uh, bartender there. And so hopefully maybe you'll create a sequel to Huracan.
Well, I think it's one of his constants that he's still trying and still losing. So I'm afraid the sequel is gonna be the same.
Yeah, it will just be another adventure. Now, has this film has it been Oscar qualified?
Yes, recently we won at the Holy Shorts Festival an award which enables us to apply for the first round of Oscar. Yeah.
to place an entry form, which we did, yeah.
Oh, good. So yeah, and now it's all about making the short list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was a jury member at Holly Shorts, and I know that Huracan is again a fantastic film. All three of you have just done incredible, brilliant work in creating this. Not only the film, you've created a character that may have some long life to it. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some more adventures of Huracan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully he will survive.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully he will, and because I'm looking forward to more. And ladies and gentlemen, in the animated short film Huracan, he rushes to save his favorite beer stand from closure by fetching a new keg to impress the bartender he crushes on. Now, in a wild Prague district, he faces robbers, cops, and his own thirst. And Huracan is one of the best short films I've seen in the last couple of years. It keeps your attention. The story moves fast, but actually seems longer than its 13-minute runtime. The black and white animation is an absolute joy to look at and mixed with one of the best sound mixes I've ever heard. And I expect this animated short film to go a long way this award season. And I want to thank you, Jan, Mark, and Kamila for sharing again one of the best animated short films of the year.
Thank you very much.
you.
It was a great pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch all of the Bondon Cinema interviews on bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime show, our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on your way to work or play on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, and more. And remember, you're either going to see me at the movies or on the red carpet.